This podcast is part of the Pull Up a Chair podcast network. Let's build community through connection, conversation, and collaboration.
Welcome to
How's That Working For You?
where
We spill the tea about relationships, millennial adulting, or whatever else life decides to chuck at us.
Hey Kat, what's up?
Oh, I'm good. Actually, that depends on what good. What good means to you. I recently took on a bunch of, one rather large project on top of the internship I've talked about on this show, or it's not even an internship anymore, it's a job, and school. So I'm just really drowning in it. I'm not drowning. I am wading in it, and I'm struggling with like floaties. That's how I feel right now.
What exactly are you struggling with? Is it just balancing everything?
But it's also it's definitely work-life balance, but to my defense, I've recently just figured out I've recently began believing in myself in terms of me being able to juggle these tasks. So it's not it's been a long time coming, and it's me kind of dealing with the learning curve that comes with adulting. I'm a little late. We've talked about how I'm a late bloomer. But it's just like it's been a journey these past few weeks. There's a lot of moving parts happening that I really need to be able to organize in my head. And also I've been using planners, starting to use Trello to like organize my projects and stuff like that. There's just ways to work around it. Things that you've been trying to tell me to do for years.
Oh, it's like something's getting through. So good to know.
It's funny. Yeah, we talked about the adulting in a past episode, and I very recently, even though I've been sort of living on my own for a while, like about a year now, a little over a year, adulting is still a foreign concept for me, but I'm getting there.
It's not foreign so much as it's just different.
You're much better at it than I am, so I'll give you that.
I mean, the only reason I am good at it is because when I was in college, I was an idiot, and I was always on like 22, 23 units every semester, and I held down 2 part-time jobs at any given time, and I was dating, and I had a very full social life, it kind of felt like, because, by the end of college, everybody knew me. Whether it was like a good opinion of me or a bad opinion of me, everybody had an opinion.
Keep going.
And I was failing so hard. I say the first semester of my freshman year that I was thinking of dropping out. But, with time and practice, I learned what works well to help me balance my life and figure out scheduling and making sure I drop the ball as least amount of times as possible.
I'm going to tell you right now that I feel like most of society would have given up. I mean, like 20-something units. What? That's crazy. And 2 jobs and a boyfriend at the time. Like, that's just...
Boyfriend, now husband.
Yeah. Well, I said at the time. So, yeah. I guess life has kind of... At least now you don't have school. But you filled up that time with other projects.
I have so many projects right now. Seriously, I'm like all over the internet doing something.
I'm so inspired by you. And you keep on saying that you're not like... There's not enough to talk about for you. And I'm just like, what? You could literally spend a century talking about all the things that you've done and the accomplishments you've had. I don't know what's wrong with you.
Well, our listeners are going to have to wait till our season finale to hear about some of that stuff.
Yeah. We'll be talking about ourselves. I won't have any problems with that. Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, I won't have any problems with that. That's cool. Anyway, back to
the work-life balance.
I mean, if we're gonna talk about my end here, it's definitely you tried to help me with that when we first became like really, really close friends, like early last year. Mm-hmm. Was it early? it feels like a century by now, though. We've just gotten so close, and yeah, you helped me really get through like the last parts of my schooling, undergrad, but none of it really stuck. It just we finished the projects, and then I was like, all right, everything goes out the other year.
I'm done. I did my work.
Yeah. So I spent a little, like, another year trying to do things the way I used to do it, which was finishing things last minute. I think there was a lot of distractions as well. Like, I was dating horrible people and just not really focused on my goals. But it definitely did not help that I had no structure. Zero structure, really. But yeah, recently I feel like I've been leveling up this year. Even though there's a global pandemic happening, I've really gotten really far in the past few months, the past half a year, than more progress than I even made earlier than that. Like, I feel like the past 2 years have been this like time warp of a situation where I just kind of had to figure out how to grow up and deal with all my problems fast. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think that's a perfect explanation. Like, this last year has been like your year of growth.
Yeah. It felt like I had finally done the work to get to ground zero. Like, I was below ground zero before, and I finally did all the work to get to ground zero, and then it was like, now I have to build up. And while I'm still building up, it's such a learning curve. It really is. I know that I've barely just started a few months ago, and I should be kinder to myself, which I am, but it does feel like I could be better at it by now. But I'm not. Like I've always said, and like I want people to know, is that it's okay to be a little slower. Like, it's perfectly fine. Because eventually, as long as you get there, does it matter how long it took? To some people it does, but I digress.
It's not a race. It's not a race to see who matured faster or who got the better job quicker. It's about getting to a place where you're content, comfortable, happy, and not stressed out all the time.
Yeah. And I'm really learning how to do that. And like, I've been able to finish a lot of my projects on time, which, as V knows, was not a thing for me. So I know, when I say that I was below ground zero, I was well below ground zero. I was like at the Earth's core at that point.
The Earth's core, oh my goodness.
But yeah, I recently, actually, my boyfriend just decided, he decided to go travel and stuff like that. Not travel, he's just living in a different state just to see what it's like. And so he was at my apartment, and we moved all his stuff to storage because his lease was over. And like, the fallout of it went to my apartment, and it was just chaos at that point. So I totally forgot to look at my syllabus, and I forgot to do a very, very large project, and it like threw me for a loop. So yeah, but it's okay, because I'm basically caught up now. But just because I'm caught up doesn't mean that there's still a lot of stuff to do. Like, it's not like I'd like to be able, like, I was ahead of the curve a few weeks ago, but I need to get back to the point where I'm like more ahead of the curve. And that's what, like, V's been very, very good at that. Even though her life has been complete chaos, like, her entire life. And I do not exaggerate when I say her life is chaos. Like, almost since the day she was born. Probably.
I don't know. You'd have to somehow track down either my living parent or my dead parent and ask them how that was.
Oh God. As much as I'd love to have met your dad, because he sounds like an angel, your mom, however, not really the first person on my list of people I want to meet.
I mean, if nothing else, my mother's very entertaining. But we're getting off track, as we always do. I think for me, what helps me, like, juggle working And because, I have my part-time job and I freelance, and so I have so many projects at once. And, being a wife and attempting to have some sort of online presence is a lot to juggle. And the only way I actually manage it is by scheduling. I am addicted to Google Calendar. If somebody ever hacked into my Google account, they will know where I am for all hours of the day for the last 4.5 years.
Oh wow.
Every second of every day is planned out in there, and Kat knows this very well because we schedule these recording times so we can make this podcast for you. And if it's not in my calendar, it will not happen, period, in this sentence. And it also helps me figure out basic adulting stuff, oh, this bill is due on this day, this is payday, I need to move this there right now, and all that stuff. Nothing would happen in my life without the Google Suite, and thank God it's free because I'd probably have to pay for it if it wasn't.
Oh my gosh.
It's synced across all my devices. I get an alert on my smartwatch when it's time for me to move from this project to that project, and my phone tells me if I need to get my car and drive somewhere within 10 minutes of when I would need to leave, and my computer in the upper corner tells me what event is happening now and what my next event is going to be, and it's really intense. My Google Calendar is very intense. And I know that.
So in that case, I don't blame myself for not immediately attaching myself to your lifestyle like that.
Well, no, I was trying to ease you into it. And even now, it's sometimes a struggle to get you to hey, just move our recording time to a section I have a calendar for my free time or my availability.
I don't understand. I on my phone, your calendar doesn't show up. So I think that it's just a setting that will take a few minutes to research and fix. So it's just I definitely, while my computer is important to me, it's just less accessible sometimes because I always have a million tabs open, which is also something that V has tried to help me not do. But baby steps. I got an iPad Pro recently. That has been, honestly, it was a very, very large investment because they are not cheap, but it works for me a lot. I use it as my daily planner. I've been using Trello on it. I can see Google Calendar on it. Actually, I've been able to change the setting on at least my iPad Pro so that I can see your calendar. So that's a win.
I mean, it's all about whatever works. And, Google Calendar works for me, but, it may never work for you and it may not work for other people. It's just...
Oh, no. I use it because everyone uses it.
Everybody uses it. I mean, once everybody finds out what thing works for them in terms of balancing things and scheduling things and not letting things fall through the cracks, then that's all they really need. And I know it's different for everybody. Michael has an erasable handwritten calendar in our bedroom that he uses.
I have one of those too. Didn't stick.
Yeah, no, because Google did not work for my husband at all, but having a handwritten calendar that he can erase and come back to, it works, and it would never work for me.
I can't tell you how many planners and stuff I've tried. I just realized that since a lot, and I think that you and I have the reason why it's so easy, it's easier for you to do online planning is because technology is a big part of your job. It just makes sense to move, how you organize your life digitally, right? For me, that's what I figured out is that, since I'm, always on either my phone, my laptop, now my iPad, it just makes sense for me to have it online. And it's just, you can sync it to everything. And that's really, it's really useful. I've been saving a lot because I think I've talked about this before. I may or may not have, but I had one of the symptoms of manic hypomania is overspending and like overconfidence in the amount of money that you can make back. So I went into a lot of debt at a very young age when I spiraled. So I have this very weird, like, I've been saving a lot, and I just am very, while I do like to spend money, I get very, very anxious about it. So I'm giving myself this leeway of investing in these items to help me manage my life. So while like I know that most of the public won't be able to invest in the things that I have to help me, it's just worked for me.
And that's good. You learned what works for you.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm still working on it, obviously. I've been better at Google Calendar, but oh my God, when I forgot to do that project, it threw me for an entire loop. It like messed up a lot of things. Like my family thought I wasn't prioritizing them. I see now that with how ambitious I am now, like in this moment with all the projects that I want to accomplish, there's no room for being disorganized. There's no room for not having some sort of structure to help me remember what I need to do, when I need to do it, by when I need to do it, right? Yeah. So it just kind of, while V has been trying to help me, or she tried at least.
I tried and failed.
She tried and failed. And it's not her fault. It's mine. It just became very apparent to me that if I don't have some sort of system in, I won't be able to accomplish my goals. And that's now it's just not an option. There's no room for that anymore. So, while also, now I'm dating somebody who's also very, very structured and successful in his work life and school. So that helped as well. So I think that some of the responsibility, quote, responsibility, was lifted off of V's shoulders. I don't know why.
I haven't met him in person yet because of the lockdown, but I love him and I can't wait to meet him in person. He's made my life easier.
He's a good one. And I often, for a long time I didn't think I would find somebody like him, and V had always, she was like, oh, it's like, you're gonna find him. I promise you, you're gonna find him. And I was like, nah.
I used to say is you were gonna find him and then dump me, and then I'd never see you anymore.
That's me. Oh my God. You were wrong, though. You were very, very wrong.
No, you didn't dump me, and now we're just doing creative, fun things together, and I'm not parenting you.
Oh my God, parenting me.
Well, it was like, hi, Kat. Have you eaten your food? Have you done your homework? Do you need to do anything? How can I help you?
Funny thing is, now my boyfriend is the one who sends me all those texts.
I know, it's freed up a lot of time for me.
You just said, like, some people think that that's like, they don't need that. So some people might think that that's like a weird thing to want in a significant other, but for me, I need it. So, and while I know that if he wasn't there, I'd still be able to do it. I'm just blessed to have that in my life, because it would be a lot harder for me. I'm not like, I'm in no way dependent on him, because there are a lot of days where I see his text and I'm like, meh, I have things to do. But you shouldn't ignore texts from your significant other, because that's just not right. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, managing, especially when you're in a relationship, that's what the issue has been in the past, which was obviously wrong. But my ex just always said, I don't have time for you. I have work and blah, 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 blah. Which, to an extent, is something that can be considered. But if you care deeply about somebody, it doesn't matter how much is going on. You still prioritize that person, And that's something I learned from V.
Nice to know at some point my advice mattered, was helpful.
That part actually was more apparent to me earlier. Like I said, it's really like, it was an investment for me. I know that not a lot of people have the opportunity or means to do it, but I invested it in a business and life coach. So that person has also been the catalyst of a lot of my progress at least in the past month or so. There's like something so valuable about having somebody that is like professionally trained to cheer you on and like make sure you do all your things. Whereas like that I don't know why I don't understand why V cared about me so much that she made it such a priority to try to get my life together. Like, I just don't, like, I understand because I would do the same thing if I could for her, but I definitely couldn't have. But it just like you should be paid a lot of money for that.
Well,
if anything.
I do get paid money because I do it for other people, like not life coaching, but I have a new client that I'm working with who is, she's a boomer. She's a retired psychoanalyst, and she has like stories, like fictional, like made up fairy tale stories that she would tell clients in certain situations, and she wants to start a YouTube channel about it. And so the amount of hand-holding I had to do to somebody like 4 times my age, and the way I like talk to her is very different like than the way I talk to you. But when you're like in that position in somebody's life where you're helping them achieve something, whether it be a YouTube channel, starting their own business, etc., I think like the main thing is being understanding that not everybody sees the world or sees interacting in life and figuring out how to do that balance the same. And you just have to be patient and thoughtful with the way you talk to them. Yeah, no, and it's very difficult because there was definitely some bumps early on where it's like, hey, you need to hover your mouse over this. Well, what does the word hover mean? And I'm like, and she's definitely one of those people who isn't comfortable Googling stuff. And so learning how to word things in a way that's caring. Because with you, I'd be like, come on, Kat, grab a goddamn phone.
Yeah. I mean,
but
there were no excuses for me, but it is what it is.
Yeah, no, it's like, it's learning the points that the other person needs help on and helping them get there. And I feel like having a partner helping you figure out your work-life balance is not necessary, but definitely helpful. And I think we're actually running a little short on time. Do you have any last-minute advice, Kat?
Oh, man. Actually, yes, I do. I think that it's really important when you're trying to find work-life balance to prioritize things. Like, list them all down and prioritize what is important to you. What I realized was I really, really, really wanted to accomplish the things, like all the projects that I have going on. And I may talk about those later in like season 2. But it just, I knew that if I couldn't accomplish those things, my life, like I would be so unhappy. So I think that when you think about wanting to organize your life, think about it as accomplishing something that you really want to get done. And that kind of is what helped me. Just like it lit a fire under my ass and was like, all right, Kat, like if you don't freaking get your shit together, you're never going to be able to do the things you want to do. Like it was basically that for me. Yeah. What I'm sure you have tons of advice.
I mean, I feel like I've sprinkled that in so far with that episode. Thank you, listeners, for listening. Make sure to subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to this on, and stay tuned for next week's episode.
Yep. Bye.
Off the Dice pulls up a chair with fellow community members to chat about things that are not commonly discussed.
Randomness guaranteed, and we get to know one another.
The humans who tag along with us may vary, yet we all come together through gaming.
Off the Dice is a Time to Tabletop production hosted by Time to Tabletop's very own Riza Cole
And Scooter Hamilton. New episodes drop every other week, so pull up a chair and let's talk off the dice.